and remember that everyone to call everyone before they get anyone before they say it's free, it's free, and it's the law. Thank you very much. Who do I have anyone today? Do we have anyone today? Oh, please step forward. Please step forward. Moving on to item number 2. Item number 2. Motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Ward, and second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor? 5-0. Motion passes. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, the minutes. Item number 3, the minutes. I'll make the motion that we approve the July 25th, 2023 special meeting minutes. A motion by Commissioner Ward, motion by Commissioner Ward, and Ms. Elder, by Commissioner Liz Walker. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor? 5-0. 5-0. Motion passes. Motion passes. Let's look into July 25, July 25, 2023. Regular. Motion by Commissioner Liz Walker, and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. By Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? All in favor? 5-0. Motion passes. 5-0. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 4. Item number 4. Items from citizens. Any items from citizens? Any items from citizens today? Mr. Ford. Commissioner Ford. Commissioner Ford.
Mayor, commissioners, and vice mayor, and all of the vice citizens that are here.
Apache Lane. So, we're gonna go ahead and move into the public hearing part of this. Public hearing for ordinance number 4576, amend the 2021 fiscal year budget. I now declare the public hearing officially open. The legal notice was published on December 16, 2021, and notice is included in this agenda packet. I invite staff to testify on the matter before the commission.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. This development agreement is for the Holly Ridge addition. We previously brought to you and are correcting illegal. It is a little bit different in that there are some changes to the way the development agreement is presented. The city is paying for part of the infrastructure and receiving the RHID payment.
If you go to page 48 in your packets, you'll see the breakdown. I'll give you a second to get there, and then so under the agreement, the city will receive the first $1 million in property tax directly, and then once we have received the $1 million, then for the remainder of the city's investment, which is $600,000 or $700,000, the city will receive 50% of that until that debt is completed. So we put in there up to $1 million in case we have cost overruns on the end, and we wind up spending more than the 1.6 that's estimated. But that's the two big items from the two big takeaways from this ordinance. Goodness, sorry.
And we do use actual costs at the end, so if it does come under, we'll allow for that.
Okay. Are there any questions from the commission or staff? Seeing none. I invite anyone from the public to testify on this matter. Seeing none, being no further comments, I declare the public hearing closed. I would entertain a motion on this matter.
I'll be abstaining, Jose.
I think you should, abstain from it, Ronnie.
Is this motion on the adoption, or is this gonna be the full ordinance?
Someone would just need to make a motion to approve ordinance number 4605 as presented, and then that would give the mayor the authority to sign off on the development agreement as well.
Yeah, well, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 4605.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Parsons and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? One abstaining? Motion passes 3-1 with one abstention. Okay, and, well, thank you. Moving on to item number 8, Resolution 2403 for the special event.
So, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is the resolution allowing Tortuga Hospitality to receive a special event permit to sell alcohol in the location marked in your packet, which is the parking lot in between Walgreens and the fire department. Just a quick note, if anyone makes the motion, it needs to say as amended, because in the resolution you have in front of you, it says SEDC. It should say Tortuga Hospitality. You heard from both parties. Hey, it's a difficult decision for you, because we have a business owner who spent a lot of money bringing a unique business to the town, and he decided to put it downtown, which aids in a lot of things, and we want to do everything we can to support that kind of activity. On the other side, I'm not a fan of any kind of special event thing, because it breaks from the norm and it puts everyone in a difficult position of what do you say yes to, what do you say no to. So that's a factor to consider. You've heard the opposition, and I know some of you receive phone calls. I received my share of conversations and phone calls, so, and then, I know people don't like to talk about this, but Commission's made a lot of concessions for food truck Saturdays, and a lot of our brick and mortar businesses are really starting to chop back. So, the decision is entirely yours. I'm just giving you feedback that I've received and kind of the evaluation that we've made. So, with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Quickly with that, have any of those businesses that are beginning to show concerns, have they shown us that they're losing business on those days?
No.
Okay.
I still
Well, I
believe,
mean, I haven't asked for it, but.
Right.
I believe this is two different issues, and I'll go ahead and say what I think. We don't allow alcohol in the parks. The parks belongs to our families and our children. And I myself don't consume alcohol, I don't drink, but I don't criticize the people that do. And the issues before, I've allowed it, not voted against, allowed it in places it should be. This is too close to the park for me. I'm not comfortable with it. I didn't get a lot of calls. I did get one call, and it was actually from somebody that drinks, and they weren't in favor of it. And like I said, I've said before, we represent, it's not my opinion, because my opinion would be a firm no. It's the opinion of the people we represent, and I believe all the people I represent that don't drink are a no, and half the people that I represent that drink would be a no. So the majority would be a no. So that's just my opinion. I thought I'd let you guys.
Now, the issue, the reason this was brought up was, as you're mentioning, a lot of the people that we represent, during the first food truck festival we had, one of the things that many people approached us at was there was no beer at the event. I know many of our community does drink, and I do understand there's many who have issues, but I believe even the county passed a special event yesterday, a special event license for the rodeo ground to have sales of cereal malt alcohol. Now, I do understand it was 4-1. Your opposition was against it. So I do want to put out that Commissioner Fuller voted against it. That being said, I think there's definitely different parts of our community. Once again, as far as the covenants at the park, those at the moment have not been found by anyone in our departments. Has legal found those covenants yet?
Well, if you look at the map that's been presented, Mayor, that my understanding is that is actually north of the defined area that is Light Park. So it's not subject to the current ordinance that's in place that specifically prohibits drinking within Light Park. I don't want to speak for someone else, but I assume that's why this location was chosen, because it's not within the Light Park area itself and it's north of it, so then that wouldn't apply. But in speaking with Keith Bridenstine, I mean, probably like a month or maybe even longer that ago, because this was brought up, he said there was no covenants that he could find doing research and looking for it. I did not personally look for it, but we did inquire of him. I think Rusty did as well. And he said there was no covenants they could find that would prohibit this kind of activity.
Okay.
The location was specifically picked because it wasn't in the park, but, I mean, you're a step away from the park.
Now, I know it will be barricaded off according to this resolution, but I know it's very close to the park. But at this point, I guess I'll bring forward, if we're going off the way that, Ron was looking at it, I myself don't enjoy drinking. If I do, It's only during special events, so would call myself a social drinker. I don't ever do it because it's enjoyable. I, again, myself would prefer it not in my home or to really partake from it. That being said, I do know many people in our community, including in this situation, if you wanted to kind of get personal. My own dad, I would not invite him to an event that doesn't have alcohol because he has social anxiety, and the only way he gets through it would be with a few drinks. And and that happens with many members of and this is going to be more culturally, because I think that's what's happening here, is we're having a cultural view of what we consider family friendly and acceptable by different groups. So I know at least a lot of the Hispanic community, at least the ones who, depending on your religion as well, are acceptant of having alcohol at family parties and in different events. And like I said, there will already be a government-sanctioned special event on the same day at the rodeo grounds. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that one. I'm in favor of this because I have many people in the community reach forward that they would like this. We have a local business owner who's willing to do this as responsibly as he can, which is kind of how we approached it when we did the commercial district in downtown. But I also completely understand why many people are against it. So that's all I have to say on this matter. Any other?
Well, I'll throw in my 2 cents. You know, we've not, that I can ever remember, allowed alcohol in parks, and while I realize that this is technically not in a park, I think you would probably have to squint your eyes and tilt your head a little bit to not consider it in the park. You know, it's just right adjacent. I have no doubt, knowing Levi, that he would do a wonderful job of keeping it the way he says, keep, you know, people not being overserved and security being there. I have no doubt that he would do a good job with it. My problem with it is that, you know, there are literally probably hundreds of places in town where you can have a beer. I just don't believe that in our parks is the place to do that. So I'm not in favor of that. We set up a special zone downtown to allow this kind of thing, and I wouldn't have the problem with it, although I'm like everybody else, it's, you know, self-confession time. I don't do a lot of drinking and probably wouldn't do it, but that's why we set up that special district downtown to do that. My problem is having it in the park, so I do oppose this resolution.
So my opinion on it is, I've lived in a city for many, many years, and I've done a lot of stories about big celebrations, the Riverfest, Dark City Days, and something that's very trending, especially to the younger, not younger, but I guess people that are legal of age, and our beer gardens. And to me, this is very, it does attract more people. The beer gardens that I have been to are extremely strict. You do have to present an ID, you have security. I also have no doubt that our police department would be there to make sure that laws are being enforced. So I would be in favor of it just because I have seen how this allows a social place for gathering. On the other note, I do understand that. I mean, my father is an alcoholic, so I do understand basically the downfall of somebody who binge drinks. But I also don't feel like this is an event that will promote such thing. I do think that if we want to get creative and start attracting more people to our community and trying to try new ideas and liberal, I'm in favor of trying this. Now, of course, if it didn't work out, we could come back again and vote against it. But I am in support of trying this just because I have had a lot of people in our community coming to me and saying, hey, we need to try this. And metropolitan areas, there's also rural communities, like I said, all across the nation that do this. But of course, we would just have to have very strict laws in place to make sure that, laws are being followed. But like I said, for me, this is more of like a tourism and beer garden. I've seen it be very successful in multiple areas. Like I said, I've done a lot of stories to making sure that laws are being abided, and every place I've gone to, we've never had any like issues or any stories. And I looked into this a little bit. I called some friends from rural communities, metropolitan areas, and they did say that it did bring more people to our community, or to their communities, they should say. So I would be in favor for this, trying it, but then of course, if it didn't work, coming and bringing it back to the table.
I guess since I'm the last one, might as well make my piece too. So I'm actually, I do drink on an occasion, but I feel that for one, being in the park, even if it's right next to the park, it's still gonna look like it's part of the event. It's still gonna be part of the, it's still part of the park. Even if you put a big wall in there and made them go from the other side, it's still be part of that same event. It's just like having it in the park, and I just don't think that's a great thing. I don't think we should have that with our kids in the park, because we're trying to say this is the back to school thing. Let's try to put alcohol with the back to school program, you know?
It's for teachers' appreciation. isn't it?
Teachers' appreciation. Well, maybe we could have a beer garden at the high school. I don't think that'll go very well. So I'm just me. I mean, I do drink. I don't drink in public. I drink at home. And that's, and I don't want, my kids are grown, but I don't want, if I have grandkids later, I don't want to have to take them to the park and go, oh, well, yeah, he's drunk. It's okay. You know, I want it to be a family event. We have family events for a reason, and we should keep them that way. If they want to have the food truck thing at a different place, that's a whole different ballgame. But in our park, I think it should be kept with our rules.
So I hear a lot about that. We need to keep it with our rules, but I know we have an ordinance in place right now, but again, the number one thing that was keeping alcohol away from it was these covenants that have yet to be found. There was an event in 2010, 2011 that got some pushback. That was when the covenants were first brought up. But every time I asked to see them, no one from the community has been able to find them. So right now, that's my only pushback is we're talking about these covenants that have not been found. Legal has searched for them, our building supervisor has searched for them. These events happen all the time. We have another event on the exact same day, approved by the county, also happening. And I'm all for trying it because I do believe this commission has moved forward just because we've always done it that way. Seems to be one of the reasons that I'm hearing from most of the commission. But
This is really more about location, Jose, because it's kind of like if you go to a NASCAR event, and I've taken my kids to a NASCAR event, and parents expect certain locations to take your kids that you will expect to have to deal with that. And the NASCAR race is one, and possibly a rodeo. I think a rodeo could go either way, to be honest with you, because I think it could be a child. But a park, if we have any place in the community that we have for our kids, it's a park. It's a swimming, the swimming pool, the aquatic center. To me, those are their domains, and we need to keep our alcohol out of their areas. I'm with you on if you want to do it somewhere else. Like I say, it's not for me, but I can vote for the public if they put it somewhere. I think this is more about location. This, regardless of whether you say it's out of the park, it's the park. Half the people that went to the events in the park on that side, or maybe not half. The parking lot's a little smaller. Let's say 35%. But it's just part of it, and that's so it's not really about this is how we've always done it. It's about location.
And I guess for me, I mean, right now we have Dodge City Days going on, and they allow these type of beer gardens right next to their park as well. And Dodge City Days has grown to be one of the most, I guess, attended festivals in Southwest Kansas, and it really has brought in a lot of tourism. And I used to stay in contact with the police chief all the time, and not once have they ever had an issue due to beer garden. If anything, they were more strict at the beer garden than outside if you go to a local bar. So it would be more of an economic standpoint on my end. And I'm a mother, so I understand the issues, but it wouldn't be any different if Isaiah and I were going to the rodeo versus if we were going to the food truck festival. It's the same thing, it's a family event. And it's not directly in the park, it's right next to it.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2403.
Second.
We have a motion by Mayor Lara and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion fails, 2-3. Okay, moving on to item number 9.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is a request to replace 2 of our old Jacobson mowers for the Parks Department with 2 new Hustler mowers. One is 19 years old, it's public school math, 16 years old. We have sufficient funds in the equipment reserve and spending authority in that line item, so staff.
I don't know why I didn't put it on there. These 2 mowers would be for the cemetery.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Which falls under parks, so I was half correct.
Right, yeah.
But in an age where we can't find mowers, the one that you guys approved for the golf course in September, October of last year. Still hadn't arrived, so the fact that we can get these, we kind of want to jump on them.
And these will be delivered, they're already in stock? Or these have a timeline as well?
I'm not sure if one's not already here. They may be both here already.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the purchase of 2 2023 Hustler 72-inch rear discharge mowers not to exceed $28,000 from Keating Tractor from the Equipment Reserve Fund.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Lindbroker. Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 10, the Wellness Center.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, come back to you today from the Rec Center on what we have renamed it to the Wellness Center and not a fitness center, for the rec weight room. What we have proposed, and we have sent out a survey throughout the city, you guys, but we did a survey, and the survey came back as 72% don't use our fitness program right now. If we had a center, 50% said they would maybe use it, and from what we've got back from our employees from the city, most of all employees, which was, unfortunately, it was only 68 responses that we got back. 64.7% said that they wanted employee and family members only. If you have that graph in front of you, the employee and community was tied at almost 18%. So today we're going, and we're recommending that we take on the family and employee only for our wellness center at $115,000 from the
So it can come
advanced
from either
exercise.
the rec center fund, which is 1 cent sales tax, or employee benefits, if you choose to move forward with the.
And we did look into that Blue Cross Blue Shield grant that we got for $35,000. That was deemed only for exercise equipment, for the rec center. So any extra gamings that we need to buy, or any fitness equipment that we needed to buy for the fitness, for the wellness center, that's what that was deemed for, from Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So you only need 80?
I think the 115
Okay.
was
Okay.
what we needed, and then 35 was what we took off. So the 115 is what we're needing, and then plus we'll add the 35,000 to meet their estimate from what they sent us. So we're recommending that you would approve our employee and family members only proposed from what the city employees have given us feedback for.
Would this be family members living in household?
So from
That's-
what we're saying immediate family only, so kids, wife, husband, is what would be in your household. We want to really integrate it into when we start to use our memberships, for the rec, and we have a fully open facility, to give them more option as far as your family and your, employee benefits. But for right now, this would be on its own for their family. Employees would be free, and then we'd have a discounted price for their families.
And what is the age group? Have you guys,
So this would be basically, I would say elementary school all the way till grown up. We're gonna have different exercise equipment in there as far as your extra gamings. That's part of that 35,000 that Blue Cross Shield has given us. Part of that will go towards hands-on light touching. There's gonna be, we're gonna get 2 extra bikes, which basically you'll have exercising. You have to pedal the bike, and they'll be able to play the PlayStation. But they only can turn that PlayStation on if they pedal the bike. So it's all integrated into that, and we have to buy it from, we have to buy at least 1 or 2 of those bikes from Extra Gaming to use at 35,000, and then what we have left over can be any fitness equipment for the facility.
Looking at the survey, the only thing I didn't like about it is it didn't actually ever say anything about if you rather use the fitness facility that we're providing there or the ones we're already using. It's like you currently want to use the liberal fitness program, you know, if they're using it or not, it's kind of, it doesn't really.
Yeah, and we didn't get that one on there. We wanted to really see what people were really using, and we only have 30 regular employees that actually use the fitness program, that are actually active. So to shoot out the email to see if they're gonna continue to use it, we actually got more responses on these questions than we felt that, hey, are you gonna use your own, or are you gonna use a different one? And that's why we put that first question, if you would use the fitness center, to kind of figure out, is your fitness center working, or would one for the city work even better?
And even out of your responses, you only got 13, 14 people, so they're going to use it,
Yeah.
so.
So the funding on this, I know we talked about 1 cent sales tax or the employee benefits fund. So let's say we decided we're gonna pay for this out of the employee benefits fund. Does that put us in any sort of cramp there as far as what we have, or, you know, down the line if we need to
Well,
do
so
some things?
we're gonna take 90,000 from the employee benefits fund to pay the increase for Blue Cross. So we have 485,000 in that account that was gonna go over to general for next year, but that would be another 115,000 out of that, so it would just reduce our flexibility on pay raises, to do it that way.
Yes, so essentially on our employee benefits fund, we used to run it for all general fund employees, but beginning with the 2023 budget, we budgeted employee benefits within our general fund. So that's how we're, the 485,000 that he's referencing, where
Right.
that comes from.
The employee benefits fund comes from, the mill levy, comes from comes from
Yes.
taxpayers.
Yes.
The mill levy
Yeah.
and vehicle tax and,
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, it didn't come out of the employees' checks.
No.
no.
All right, I'll entertain a motion. Or a direction.
I guess my only concern is when we say elementary and older, if you have like a really young teen that's gonna try to go in the middle of the night and,
Yeah, so what our doors will be, they'd all have PIN numbers on them. So you'd only have access at a certain age. So if you're a certain age, you would have to be with a parent. The 24 hours, which if you read some of the comments that the employees have left, they would rather have the family members during the day as far as till we close, which is 9 o'clock most days, and then an employee part of 24 hours throughout the day. So when we get our new door system out there, each employee will be able to use their card, so we'll know who goes in there. So if an employee says, hey, I went in there, or we can see who went in there at midnight, and they let their 12-year-old kid go in there, then we can look at the cameras and figure out who made the mess, who did this and who did that. But each employee will have a card. Family members will also have a card once we get to that part of their portion of being able to use that.
So at this point, basically from the survey, we're looking at, we will never open this to the public, right? It will just be as a benefit employee.
Just as benefit employee.
Employee benefit
And family.
and their family. Okay.
Yeah, if we open it to the public, then we're competing with private business, which is,
And that's why we went to more of the wellness side instead of the fitness side, because our gym is not gonna amount to any gyms that are here. Ours are gonna have a lot of machines, gonna have one rack of free weights, maybe a bench or two, but we're not gonna bring like big guys in here to drop some weight, we're here just to get you fit, get you walking, get you running, whatever you need to do. And then, so that's why we called it as a wellness center instead of the fitness center, so that we're not competing with the fitness gyms that do bring in those guys to lift heavy weights and do that sorts of type of lifting. Ours is basically a lot of machinery.
Well, I see this as sort of a, possibly, we have a staff shortage across the board. A bit of a recruiting tool to, maybe it's one more little thing to help incentivize an employee to come to work for the city. So, I think it's something that we probably ought to try.
There's a benefit here, there's also some grant money for it, so. I'll go ahead and make the motion. We purchase the fitness equipment from Advanced Exercise for the Wellness Center for the amount not to exceed $115,000 to come out of the employee benefit fund. A motion by Mayor Lara and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion?
I'm gonna say I really appreciate the employees, but I think we offer them a plan to exercise that we help fund, and 30 out of how many take advantage of it, and I think they will continue. Most of those go to a certain place. Like I say, to me, not voting for it is not because I don't appreciate the employees, because I do. I just think that's a lot of money to spend on some equipment to be used by 20 people when it gets really right down to it, probably. And that's using taxpayers' money to provide something that the public can't use. I'd rather give the employee something else than that, the opportunity to not work out.
Give them something across the board.
Yeah. I'd be more in favor of giving them the money somewhere else, but on their health care or whatever, but that's just, I just wanted, when I vote no, I want you to know why.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I mean, last time we asked, we wanted data from the employees, and it looks like we have a significant amount that will. Now, you also have a portion who didn't answer, but I also feel like now that this will be a benefit, it's something maybe they could use. I know there's a lot of people that are hesitant to go to the gym at first, maybe because they're intimidated going in. But since it's open 24/7, they can go on their own time. I really do think this will help. And with mental health illnesses being on the rise, I feel like this will also be a great way for people to exercise and help them cope with their stress. And it also is a good recruiting tool as well.
I think it will get more utilization, being a smaller confine with people that you either work with, or, I mean, if you go at 2 a.m, chances are there's not gonna be a lot of other people there. It'll just be you who can enter, so.
And I think we didn't get as many responses as we'd like. Most employees don't use their emails, especially if they're on the mower or they're doing something other, they're throwing out trash. The trash guys most likely do not look at their emails. The water guys probably look at their emails once, twice a day, depending on what Jose's sending them. But most of the 200 plus employees that we got, I bet half of them, or more than half, don't look at their emails. And I think the 68 that do are office people that responded to this survey.
I do also know that there's a lot of people that go to multiple gyms. I know that sounds silly, but a lot of people that I go to the gym with at Rapid also have membership at Lifelong. And so I really don't think that this will have a huge impact on people canceling their membership at the gym. I just think now they'll have more options.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 11, the building contracts.
Travis, that's still you.
Well, Matt didn't tell me about this one, but I can tell you a little bit about the building contracts. The building contracts, we did redo the building contract that no longer says the key deposit. I think it just has we kept forgetting it. It was like on number 15 or something, and we did change that it says no more key deposit.
If you look at that first page, they highlighted the major changes. I mean, I think everyone should know that our buildings are supposed to be smoke and alcohol free, but they're often not. We kept the deposit as cash only, but we did waive it for the government entities. It is extremely difficult for us to go and get cash. And if the county or the school or somebody causes damage to the building, I trust that those entities would make it right. So that was put in there. No bouncy houses for safety. And then number 15, loss of the key, we could charge the full deposit if we wanted to, which I don't think we would really have to do that unless locks aren't $400. But and then you can see the on the second page of that, 93 of your packet, the rental rates. I missing a page?
Yeah, I think it shows those two,
How many pages
or at
you
least
have?
in here.
I thought you were gonna do
The nonprofit.
The
Yeah,
nonprofit, we don't have the
nonprofit, yeah,
nonprofit.
that's what I mean.
a half price for nonprofits, or,
Did I, okay.
I couldn't
So-
find it either.
So I know the last meeting, we talked about those nonprofits, and I kind of talked to Matt about it. The nonprofits, I believe on the contract, I think we referred it to as buildings. Are you doing shelters as well? Because I think the way it reads is the buildings will be half off. So are we referring to the nonprofits as shelters as well, or just buildings?
Anything the nonprofit rents.
Anything?
I mean, it's better than us giving everything away, so, I mean, we're not trying to be Scrooges, I mean, or get rich, but, you know, there's risk associated with every rental, so,
So do we want to bring this back the next meeting? To have that included on there?
yeah, there was another page that had the rental rates broken out for the
I
nonprofit.
didn't get that one.
Okay, so, Mr. Mayor, then, you want a motion that they push it to September 12th meeting?
I would say just no action taken, and then just a consensus to have it as an agenda item for the next meeting.
No, I apologize, I looked over that first page and didn't notice the amendment to the fee schedule that we had drawn up wasn't in there. It was just a one page.
If that's okay with everyone, just a consensus to put on the next agenda as an
Yes.
item and no action taken tonight. Is that
And-
agreeable?
And is everyone okay with the 50% rate for the government and nonprofits?
Consent to that.
Yep.
Yes.
And then you guys can vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay. You have a consensus. Moving on to item number 12, facade improvement grants.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, last item for the night. Oh, go ahead. In short, a number of businesses have asked us to include vertical improvements as part of this grant. And we also felt that the 10,000, which had been in place for a long time, was dated, or the 5,000 was dated, so,
Horizontal.
yeah. What'd I say, vertical? Okay, I meant horizontal. I completely backwards. So, we went in, we doubled the authorization from 5,000 to 10,000. So that's up, we will match up to $10,000 that they spend, and they can use that for sidewalks or pavement or asphalt in front of the business as well.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
I have to agree. I think this will definitely help improve some of those businesses too that maybe want to put in some of those parking lots or sidewalks, mainly in the south side of town too. And having a matching grant where they have to put in the other half, so.
Right.
And this covers all city level?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the facade improvement grant as whatever,
Presented.
as presented, yeah, that'd be the word.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lindbroker and a second by Vice Mayor Parsons. Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0, motion passes. Okay, moving on to item number 13, city staff.
I have nothing.
Brad?
I'll just give you an update. I don't know if you've been down Main Street in the last, less than 10 days, we've had 4 of the Sternbergs hit by trucks, cars, or whatever, so we had 1 replacement. They're roughly between $6,500 and $7,000 a piece. So we've got 3 that we gotta replace, and we're gonna get, I think, just 1 backup in case, at the cost of them. And that's not counting everything that goes with picking them up and everything. And I think 3 of the 4, we know who did it. So we'll be doing insurance claims on those. So that's good.
Okay.
When do they start sweeping up the gravel?
So typically, you would like at least a month. And like some of the streets, it's already been beat in pretty good. There's not a whole lot of gravel left.
So do we save that gravel for next time around? What do we do with
Now,
that?
you can't use it again, but we do use it for alleys and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'll sweep it up and stockpile it as we need it for base on projects or whatever.
Right, okay.
So, yeah, you should probably by the end of the month start seeing it being picked up. If you live in a cul-de-sac, it'll probably stay for 2 months just because it doesn't get enough traffic on it.
Okay. Moving on to item number 14, the city manager's report.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, sorry we didn't get this in your packet, but the building department, code enforcement wrote 456 citations in the last 30 days for weeds. So another busy month, but less than the month before. So I don't know if that's a trend. We pretend like it is and just hope that August looks the same. But, that's 152 per code enforcement officer. So they're staying busy. I don't need an answer on this now, but as we finish the audit and we get full on into the budget cycle, I need some guidance from you on whether you want us to remain at the R&R or if you're okay utilizing the additional valuation, which is about $300,000. So the mill levy will not increase, but we either have to stay at what we're at this year or utilize the extra dollars that came with the increased valuation. So just think through that for me if you would, and we can talk about it individually or at the next meeting. We just need some guidance as we start red inking those budget forms. The last building that you condemned, and I'm sorry I didn't write down the address, the owner has appealed. City code says the city commission or their designee can do the hearing. I just need some guidance from you on whether you guys want that to the full commission or if you want to assign a designee or I guess it could be a set of designees, a group like the building inspector, myself, the mayor, to hear the hearing. Because we had to respond, we set it for September 5th. If the full commission wants to hear the appeals, we can move it to the next commission meeting, which will be September 12th, which is not a big deal. I just need some guidance on how you want us to proceed. Because no one could really remember whether the commission had ever appointed someone as designee or if they had heard the appeals themselves. So,
I don't remember ever having a designee, but I don't remember having too many appeals either.
No, I can remember at least one.
One appeal?
Yeah, and
it was
the commission
before the
handled it.
commission, yeah.
Yeah. So I would just assume the commission handle it. That's why you get elected.
that's easy. And then finally, say thank you to Darla. This is her last meeting. She'll be leaving us at the end of the week. So thank her for 15 years, 16 years of service to the city, and we wish her the best as she moves to the way northwest for some reason. But anyway, but thank you to her. That's all I have,
Thank you, Darla.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Darla. Okay, moving on to item number 15, items from commissioners. Start with Ron.
Well, thank you, Darla. I think I'm kind of feeling a little bit old now, though, because I remember when you came. And again, all the staff, I appreciate everything the staff's done. Like I say, you're talking about the citations are down on the weeds. They'll probably be way down in December. We can hope, we probably could use a little rain again. We got a little bit the other night. It'd probably help, but that weeds really got after it when that rain came. But appreciate everything staff's doing, all the extra work they do, that we don't sometimes recognize them for, but, that's all I got.
Well, Tyler, thanks for your service. I've had to deal with you a few times in the building side when you were over there. And thanks for all the staff. I know grass is still growing, weeds are still growing, mosquitoes are still out. And I think they're like that size. I did notice that the road guys have been out doing a lot of repairs and patching holes, and it makes you feel good when you go down the street and you don't hit the pothole that you hit every morning. Really, you don't appreciate till you actually go, oh, they actually did that one, you know. So, because they know they can't get to every street every day. Get to your special spot, and you're like, hey, they got me. So. Nice, and we have great events around this town, and things keep going. I'll leave it to you.
Well, I want to start off, thank you, Darla, for your years of service with the city. It's greatly appreciated. I always say thank you to the crowd because I know it's a commitment for you guys to come and continue attending our commission meetings, so it is greatly appreciated. And everybody who tunes in online. I also want to thank all of the city staff for their hard work, especially the ones that work outside. It's been really hot lately, and your work is greatly appreciated. On another note, I could probably sit here and preach about the importance of being civically engaged in voter turnout, but I will say I'm a little bit disappointed in the amount of people that came to vote during the election. We have 9,436 registered voters, and out of that, only 1,639 votes were casted. And so just want to remind people about the general election. Please encourage people to come out and vote. We hear people that have concerns all year long, but what's even more important is your vote. And so please just encourage anybody you know to come out and vote during the general election, because locally elections truly matter, and we do truly impact you on a significant level. But I could sit here and talk about all that whole thing, but just remind people to vote.
Thanks to staff. You guys are working hard, and it's noticed and appreciated, and let you know. And Darla, we're gonna miss you. Well, at least I will. I don't know about you. Thanks for pitching in and helping out. That's all I've got.
Well, thank you, Darla, and thank you all the staff for everything you guys do, for all the time you guys commit. Definitely be engaged as much as you can. I know city employees definitely are, but the community should be as well. Making sure we have as many people vote, get as many voices as we can. I think today's meeting shows that I think no one here made a vote based on their personal opinions of items. They were made off of what we heard from the community. And this very much showed that different people hear from different community members. So it's very important to keep that in mind, that it's who you contact, who you vote for, who you reach out to is very important on any issue that is done, because we hear from very many different people, and that I think is the most important thing. And I'm excited actually with the votes that we had, because it means the community is reaching out and talking to the commissioners and letting us know what you actually want to happen in the direction you want us to take things. So just thank you for all and everything you guys do. What number are we at?
16.
Moving on to item number 16, the vouchers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $1,342,253.69.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Lindbroker. Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Believe it or not, this meeting still only lasted just a little over an hour. So thank you guys very much. We are adjourned.